The most depressed people hide it the best because they'll talk about their darkness in the most funny and casual way possible. And do you know why that is? It's a coping mechanism. It's their way of trying to be the light for somebody else because they've forgotten how to be the light for themselves. And other times it's their way of deflecting the conversation so that you don't ask the right questions. The questions that will cause the mask to slip. And I know the game. I play it better than anyone. This is your reminder that a smile doesn't carry on when they leave the room. Their drive home might be their last. That joke they've just told you might be their final cry for help. So always remember, the most depressed people hide it the best.
Most people who are anxious or depressed do not have anxiety or depression, not clinically at least. They have what we therapists call fucked up lives. They have terrible families. They have no friends. They have no partner. They have no money. They have no job. Now, it might be the case that their anxiety and depression is part of the reason they don't have those things. It's hard for them to do stuff because they're anxious and depressed. That can be the case. But a lot of times, there's nothing wrong with their mind. This isn't a mental disorder. Your mind is not thinking or feeling incorrectly. It's looking at life objectively and it's going, wow, my life sucks. And that means your mind is actually working correctly. Who would feel well? Who would feel positive if everything in their life is not going well? You would be mentally disordered if you were feeling good in a situation like that. You shouldn't be feeling good in a situation like that. But the mental health field has become so hyper-focused on just trying to find ways to diagnose people. And I believe part of this is because of the therapist's own ego. Therapists like to feel important. They like to feel special. They like to feel that they can figure out a person's problems. They like to feel like they can slap a label. They can explain what's going on inside the mind of the person. Ooh, so mysterious. When actually, if you just look at their life, you would go, oh, yeah, that sucks. I would feel like shit too. And this actually matters because there's a very different pathway of treatment if you're dealing with someone who is actually mentally disordered. There is something going on in the way that they're thinking about their life or the way they're feeling about things versus someone who just has a bad life and they're looking at things clearly. You have to address that in a very, very different way. You don't treat those two people in the same manner because the person who has a bad life, you don't have to fix anything about what they're seeing. Now, that doesn't mean that therapy can't help those people. If you're going through a lot in your life is not going well, therapy can still help you because it can help you navigate those struggles. It can help you figure out how to not spiral, how to make sure things don't get out of control so then you don't end up doing nothing and you actually start making progress. But there's nothing inherently wrong with the way that you're thinking if that is the case. In those cases, the job is, how do I help this person get their life back on track? This is really important because we have gone so far to the other end of over-pathologizing, over-diagnosing. We want to feel special. We want to give people identities for things. But a lot of times those identities, especially when they're mishandled, they actually make it worse for the person because now this person thinks that they have an internal problem. They think, oh, there's something wrong with my mind. I'm not thinking correctly. I'm not coping with things correctly when in fact, there's nothing wrong inside. Your life just needs to get straightened out. We can help you with that. Now, if it's the other way around, if it is somebody who actually has a mental disorder, they're depressed because there's something going on physiologically, neurologically, chemically, psychologically, there's something going on inside, then we have to solve that problem. Fixing their life isn't going to cure their depression or their anxiety. But we have to separate these two things. Otherwise, we are not giving people the correct treatment.
How do I explain that I have to cancel plans because all of a sudden I'm depressed for absolutely no reason and I only want to be alone in my room, like a Victorian poet with consumption? How do I do that? Like, I swear at 2 p.m. when I said yes, I was fine. But by 5:17, I was in bed questioning my entire existence because someone said, no worries with a period. So now I gotta lie and say, hey, I can't make it tonight, something came up, because I can't possibly explain that what actually happened is a mental fog has overtaken me, and I have the sudden inability to speak to another human being without crying on the inside. I'm not flaking. I didn't mean to do this. I'm just emotionally distressed. And the worst part is, if I tell you the real reason, you'll say, you should have said something. And I would have, but I was laying in the dark, listening to sad music and contemplating the ceiling. So I wanted to hang out, but then my brain said, no, you don't. And there's nothing I can do about it now.
I'm just now beating like 3 years of depression. And I'm seriously starting to realize how many excuses that depression really allows you to make. And we actually think is okay. I realized that if I were to just get up when I needed to, and when I say get up, I mean just do anything. It could be anything. If I were to just get up rather than watching things fall because of depression, I probably would have been so much farther ahead in my life. It's crazy. But because I got hit with a whole bunch of things that I wasn't expecting and a whole bunch of strange realizations about family and partners and friends and life as a whole, I had the great awakening, let me tell you. I realized that I should have just stayed working. So this is for the person who is depressed right now, but feels like it's okay to lay down and scroll your life away. Trust me, trust me, trust me. I need you to get up. I need you to get up and I need you to keep going. I don't care what your bank account looks like. I don't care what kind of job you got. I don't care who's around you saying it's okay to take a break. I don't care. I don't care what it is. My situation was probably worse than yours. But I need you to get up and I need you to still give yourself to the world. Still show up, because something I realized from this 3 years is nobody can give you the time that you're losing back. You can get your money back that you're losing from sitting on that couch or bed or wherever. You can find new friends. You can get a new job if you lost it. But you can't get your time back. You can't get your time back. If I could just grab you and shake you by the shoulders, I really would, because this is the big wake-up call. This video is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call.
About 2 years ago, I was at a point in my life where I was very lonely. And not just lonely, but alone. And I was in therapy, and I was hoping that by throwing money at the problem, I could fix that. And I was convinced at that point that all I needed was to find my people. Everywhere I went, I felt very different from everyone else that was there. And I thought back to the last time I didn't feel alone. And that was when I was in a gifted and talented school, K through 8. So around when I was 12 or 13 was the last time I didn't feel alone. So making my best guess, I figured that being gifted was a part of this. When I'm around other people who have a brain that works like mine, I feel less alone. And so that's what I need to do. I need to go find those people. Well, I tried finding those people, and it was hard. Turned out there's no one place where these people hang out that I could find. So my work with my therapist switched to me needing to become someone who can create a space, we talked a lot about be a beacon, especially online, to bring these people together, to create that space. And over the course of over a year, that is what I did. And so I, about 6 months ago, started posting here online and was talking about giftedness and was talking about all the things that make me feel like I don't belong in society. But what I was really trying to get at was, why do I still feel so alone? And it got some traction. And a lot of people resonated and felt like they saw themselves in my story. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm glad that happened. I was the beacon, and I found the people, right? Who also felt alone and who were also telling themselves this story that all I have to do is find my people. And so I put a link up to an online group, and as we sit today, there's over 500 people from around the world in this group. And, I'm not the best at facilitating an online group, I'll be honest. But as I put it together and held events and watched everyone meet each other, what I realized, it wasn't a realization. What I experienced was a knowing that it was never about finding my people. That was something that I thought would help make me feel less alone. And here I was surrounded by people who not just resonated with the same ideas, but resonated with me. Like I was who brought them there. I gathered hundreds of people into a room with me and still felt alone. And so the aloneness could have never been coming from an external lack, from a lack of people, right? It was coming from inside the house, per se. In one of these calls, a member of the community shared several books that she found helpful for her on her healing journey. And I didn't even know I was on a healing journey, to be honest. I thought I just needed to meet the right people and have everything fall into place. But one of those books, I've talked about it before, was called The Drama of the Gifted Child. The Search for the True Self. I was like, yeah, search for the true self. That's me. That's what I'm searching for. Where is it? Why can't I find it? Even now I'm surrounded by all these people. I can't find it. I'm so alone. I don't feel like I can be my true self. And what this book helped me see for the first time is that my childhood and my upbringing and my experiences that brought me to this point were not normal and were not loving, really. And I wasn't aware of that. And so this book talks a lot about childhood emotional abuse and emotional neglect. The aloneness that I felt was a result of caregivers who couldn't meet me emotionally. It was the result of a lack of emotional capacity that they themselves never had. And somewhere along the way, really early on, I learned the connection between being my full self and that being met with disconnection. That being met with judgment and a lack of acceptance. The love that I know, the love that is familiar to me, even now, is conditional. Fundamentally, I perceive love and closeness and intimacy as being available to me only when I fit into a box that the giver of that love determines. And whenever I am outside that box, the love is withdrawn. The person leaves or their interest is gone. And I suspect this is a common story for other adults who identify as a former gifted child who struggle with loneliness. When we approach the world and see love and see closeness as being conditional, it feels like the only option to achieve love is to abandon self. And we love ourselves, and we don't want to abandon self anymore. That's the conflict. There are plenty of people who are abandoning themselves to get love in this conditional way, and it's working for them. But that's not working for us. We don't want to do that anymore. I don't. What I do know here is that love does not have to be conditional. Just because that's my experience of it, that has been growing up, does not mean that that's the only way, especially going forward. My journey now is experimenting with how to approach that emotional learning that feels so true in here, so that creating warmth and closeness and intimacy with others actually starts to feel like it could be a better option than the aloneness that I am so accustomed to and so familiar with. That's the next step. And I think it's possible, though I'm not there yet. So I'll keep you updated.
You will never know what somebody is going through. They just don't fully show it. A lot of people feel this way. They just won't show it. They're afraid to open up in this cold world, express how they feel. They're afraid they're going to be judged. In this cruel world, when everybody's judging you, they're judging you like they're perfect. So that's why you never know what somebody is going through. Some people get up every day and still smile. But deep down inside, they're going through it. So you just can't imagine what people are just going through. And that's sad that in this world, you really can't just be who you want to be. You can't just go outside without being judged. You feel like you gotta have your hair fixed up a certain way or your hair done a certain way just to come outside. But in reality, all you really need is you. A lot of people lost that. They don't know where to go, what to do. And every day it seems like it's a constant battle. When you try to be strong within yourself, but something always seems to just pull you down. No matter what you're going through and how you feel, there's somebody out there that feel it too. Deal with the same problems as you. So it's like you're not alone, and it seems like you're alone. And that's why people just don't open up. I get it. I understand. Because you can't control the cruel world. It's like you mean good intentions or whatever you got going on in your life. You just want to express yourself. But you don't want nobody just critiquing it in the wrong way. So in reality, it's like you feel like you don't have the confidence that you think you should have. You know, even when you're going through it, you stay strong enough to just keep going. A lot of us, we don't have that. But if you have that in this world, I want you to just cherish it. Don't ever lose that. That's like a treasure. And I like to thank you for being you. I know you don't hear that often. A lot of people don't hear that often. We living in this world where you can't get nobody that credit. So if you out there and you going through it and you've been dealing with everyday problems and you don't know how to express yourself, just listen to this video. Let this video help you. Help you get the courage that you need. To have the confidence that you always had. That you didn't know you had. Because you didn't know what you was capable of. You've been getting told no your whole life and you couldn't do it. That's why you're afraid. That's why you worry about what people think, your family members, your friends, the people that's the closest to you, always got something to say. So no matter what nobody is going through, give them respect. I don't care where you at in your life. Everything is about respect. A lot of people lost respect. They have the lack of accountability. It's always everybody else's fault. Things going backwards when you're supposed to be trying to prosper. Nothing makes sense. So that's why a lot of people are just lost. So if you've been going through something, always remember, it'll get better. And that's why I like to thank everybody who has the confidence of being what they want to be. Not being afraid to just come outside with a regular plain shirt on. Your shirt ain't got to be name brand or having the freshest shoes. Because it really don't matter anyway. What really matters is you, the inside. So don't be afraid to express it. And that's why I think a lot of people been going through this. And let me know if you feel the same way, if this relates to you. Because it's sad out here that there's a lot of people that's not confident. But I understand. It's just a crazy world. So if you like this message, let it resonate with you. Because it's going to get better. I'm going to see y'all in a minute.